Last year I made a video talking about the NFL and some drama that revolved around it. And I thought I'd continue with that trend by highlighting some things before the upcoming Super Bowl. By the time this video gets uploaded, Super Bowl 59 will be roughly 24 hours away, and for the first time in my life, I'm rooting for the Eagles. I'll talk about some other related topics throughout this video, but the main thing I want to focus on is the Chiefs and how unbelievably rigged this season has been in their favor. I have never been a Chiefs hater, even after last year's Taylor Swift focused season and the year before that with the controversial ending to Super Bowl 57. For the most part, I understand why the NFL is so heavily focused on the Chiefs right now. Without question, they are a powerhouse. So I've never had a genuine reason to hate them until this season. Once again, the Chiefs are undoubtedly good, but what makes them such a nuisance to watch and root for this team is the officiating that surrounds them.
But now, to the last of the inconsistent calls. This is in the same vein of Brown ripping off Latimer's helmet, okay? And that's Kelsey getting up in Hamlin's face, and there isn't even that much pushing and shoving, but they still get the flag because somebody did to Kelsey exactly what Kelsey did to Hamlin, with the big difference being that Kelsey embraced the headbutt and then flopped afterwards, where Hamlin actually tried to de-escalate it and put his arms up in between the two.
The Chiefs get some of the most outrageous calls and favoritism from the referees, to the point that it feels like you're watching less of a pro sport and more of a Pee-wee Little League game. And the Chiefs know this, so much so that they actually play into it. You'll have Mahomes and Kelsey flop to draw a penalty, or most recently, fumble out of bounds so the refs can make a call that the ball was caught while in, giving them a first down. It happens so often, it could be its own drinking game. Drink every time the refs favor the Chiefs, you'll be f***ed up before halftime. What really makes these calls so painful is that they're always so impactful on the outcome of the game. For example, I mentioned Super Bowl 57. Well, that championship was also Chiefs versus Eagles, and a holding call was made against the Eagles, with less than 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Pressure, lofting one, end zone, there's a flag at the 10. Hang on, there's a penalty. Holding.
It was one of the most exciting Super Bowl games in recent time, with both teams neck and neck, and that single call is what solidified victory for the Chiefs. They got a first down, went for the field goal, and won the Super Bowl. Now, obviously, I'm not a referee or sponsored by the NFL, but if you look closely at the replay, you'll see it really doesn't look like that qualifies as a holding penalty. I don't think this gave the Eagles a tactical advantage or interfered with the Chiefs' pass. That ball still would have been dropped in the end zone. It's not the fact that it was a ridiculous call that made the game so controversial. It was the fact that rather than the outcome being determined by the players, it was determined by the refs. And this isn't surprising. I've said this before. It doesn't matter if they do a good job or not, because at the end of the day, they all get paid the same. Another example most recently is against the Bills, and the worst spot ever not giving them that first down, then later calling what was clearly an incompleted pass as completed for the Chiefs. There's just so many examples that suggest the refs are being told to give leniency towards the Chiefs in hopes of extending their season for as long as possible. And I think one of the most criminal examples of this was that unnecessary roughness call against the Texans during the divisional round.
1st and 10, there's a fumble. Mahomes picks it up, he scrambles, he's past line of scrimmage, so he's a runner. He can't seem to get out of bounds, so right as two guys are closing in on him, he drops to the ground where he gets hit, and once again the flags come out.
These are just terrible calls, so much so that the commentators, the official commentators that are broadcasting these games, are actively saying how much they disagree with them. Like with that unnecessary roughness call.
Unnecessary roughness. Defense number 39. 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, I mean, he's a runner, and I could not disagree with that one more, and he barely gets hit. That's the second penalty now.
Troy, I agree with you. There's no forcible contact to the head neck area of him. The two Houston players hit each other. That should not have been a foul.
I don't think I'm exaggerating how frustrating all of this is. Even if you are the biggest Chiefs fan, you have to realize how much privilege your team is receiving. Like, it's not a coincidence. Let's say this was my team, the Atlanta Falcons, and we were receiving these calls. I'd be happy, obviously, but I'd still acknowledge it. I'd be like, yeah, my team has plot armor. Suck it. Obviously, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you get the idea. I wouldn't be going through hell and high water trying to defend it like a lot of Chiefs fans are, who seem to be denying the reality of the situation. Again, the Chiefs are undoubtedly good and a powerhouse that can rival that of the Patriots during the Tom Brady dynasty, but it's to two different degrees. I saw a comment that perfectly summarizes the difference between the two. Tom Brady was hated because nobody could beat him. Patrick Mahomes is hated because no one is allowed to beat him. And that is just so f***ing accurate. You don't have to be a football connoisseur to recognize that these calls are beyond questionable and are going the Chiefs' way very often. I don't need to continue talking about the Chiefs. You get the gist of it. That's the head of the drama that's gone down this season. But there are a couple other bits of drama I want to briefly mention that are relatively sillier for the most part. One thing I want to talk about happened during the wildcard round with the Chargers versus Texans. Now, the game itself was straightforward for the most part. The drama, however, comes from the coverage that was done by Nickelodeon, and whether or not it had anything to do with the outcome of the game. Because it was more than just commentary, they directly got involved.
Speaking of clean, that's dirty. Is that Dirty Bubble?
Dirty Bubble! Oh no!
He's up to no good. Whoa. Look out, Coach Harbaugh.
Watch out, Harbaugh.
He's enveloping Harbaugh!
Oh, no. Harbaugh's going to have to take a shower when he goes in at halftime.
Stinks in there, I bet.
Uh-oh.
He's
Oh,
got
he got be careful.
Jim, come back!
Dirty Bubble.
Look,
Jim!
Harbaugh down.
look for a soft spot to land.
Gentle with our head coach. Oh, no.
They fucking kidnapped Jim Harbaugh in the middle of the game. It was horrible. A bigger tragedy than that time I tried out for my school's basketball team while I was rocking a height of 5'0". So what happened is the Chargers were up 6-0, then got absolutely decimated by the Texans, losing 32-12. So they went on a 32-6 run after the Dirty Bubble kidnapped their head coach. He may have ended their season, and that's what a lot of fans are saying, jokingly for the most part, but there were some that were actually pissed about this, and a couple articles written about how if SpongeBob ruined the Chargers season. I can almost imagine some red-blooded Chargers fan watching this game with their kids, maybe having a couple brewskis, and then watching their team go straight to the toilet bowl after the Dirty Bubble kidnapped Jim Harbaugh. I can actually picture them pounding on the TV yelling, "Give him back!" But yeah, aforementioned, this really had nothing to do with anything. It's just a silly and comical piece of NFL drama. Going back to the Super Bowl, let me tell y'all my prediction. Aforementioned, I'll be rooting for the Eagles this year, but I still think the Chiefs are going to win. If this season has taught us anything, it's that the NFL really wants the Chiefs to be the first team to three-peat winning the Super Bowl, because it'll be great for numbers. I have to disagree. I think I speak for the majority of NFL fans when I say we don't want the Chiefs to win this year, because no matter what narrative they were trying to go for, this team came out looking like the villains. If I need a better reason as to why I won't be rooting for the Chiefs this year, allow me to pardon some enlightening words a couple Eagles fans had to say at my local Beef O'Brady's. I'm thinking about the cities, man. Philadelphia. If they don't win the Super Bowl, they're going to unleash hell across the city. There won't be anything left of New Orleans. So, I'm going to try and save the city by rooting for the Eagles. Overall, I am going to be watching this year's Super Bowl, but I am skeptical as to whether or not it'll be any good, because if it's anything like the last Chiefs versus Eagles Super Bowl, then we might see another controversial championship. I just wanted to talk about this. That's really about it. So,